Good evening. Hope everyone had a great weekend. And I want to continue on. I've still been kind of trying to read this book that I was talking about last episode called 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think. And there's, I really haven't gotten much into it, but I'm trying. I've noticed that as I've gotten older, I low-key think I have like a little bit ADD, ADHD, whatever. I just have a hard time like sitting still and doing one thing at a time or trying to read. I don't know. Reading is just really hard for me. Like I could read. I know how to read, but it's just sitting still and reading a book. Like I think maybe I am like a little bit generational with that technology thing, because I feel like I'll read for a little bit and then I'm like, oh, let me go on TikTok or let me go on my phone real quick or something, or let me watch TV or go to sleep or something. I don't know. Like I just try to do random stuff, but I still want to share. I'm kind of bouncing around in this book. I think that's the great thing about it, is because it's essays. It's not like it's chapter by chapter. You have to follow a story, so you can make it work for you that way. So one of the chapters is called 20 Signs You're Doing Better Than You Think You Are. And I think this is a good one to talk about because sometimes in life you can get caught up in thinking about all the things that aren't happening, but it's also important to practice gratefulness for the things that you do have in your life. And I think I talked about this before, just like appreciating where you are before you can get to where you want to be. And a part of that is just, thinking about these certain things, these signs I'm going to share. So I'm going to read each one and kind of dissect it like I always do. And hopefully this is helpful, and would love some feedback if, you have anything, other topics that you guys want me to talk about, or questions or something about my life. All right, so the 20 signs you're doing better than you think you are. Number 1, you paid the bills this month and maybe even had extra to spend on non-essentials. It doesn't matter how much you belabored the checks as they went out. The point is that they did, and you figured it out regardless. This is great, especially when you're in a space like right now. Financially, I'm not where exactly I want to be, but I'm doing really better than where I was before. Getting like different opportunities and to save, and even like get a credit card and stuff again. Like I had one, but I haven't had it in a long time. So just being more financially responsible, and being able to take care of myself, take care of my essentials, but also, do a little bit of treating every once in a while. Whether it be like, for me, it's always about, buying some cute clothes, or, I think that's really it. Clothes and food. But even with that, it's like working out has definitely helped me to do better with going to the grocery store and making sure I meal prep, which I need to do after this. But like it says, just being able to, you're doing better than you think you are if you're able to pay your bills and you have money for non-essentials. You are popping, because there's a lot of people who are not in that space. So just be grateful if you are in that space, and if you aren't in that space, work towards getting there. And I'm manifesting that for anyone who's in that space. Number 2, you question yourself. You doubt your life. You feel miserable some days. This is an interesting one, because I'm going to read what it says, but just even reading that part, it's crazy, right? Because you would think, if you are thinking about ways to remind yourself that you're doing better than you think you are, then why would these somewhat sounds negative things, right? Questioning yourself, doubting your life, you feel miserable some days. I think this is what it says. This means you're still open to growth. This means you can be objective and self-aware. The best people go home at the end of the day and think, or maybe there's another way. I love this, because I feel like when you are in a space of doubting your life, and you're not happy where you are some days, and you're questioning yourself and where you are, that means that, like it says, that you're open to growth, but also that you're recognizing that this is not the end all be all for me. There are a lot of people, I don't know if you might have experienced it yourself or know people who are like this, but there are people who are complacent with where they are. They will never push themselves to be better. They will stay in a space that you might view as like, hell no, I'm not staying here. You know what I mean? Like, I deserve more, or I want more for myself, or I want to do more. And there are people who are okay with not doing that. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's their life. But I think it's great when you do question yourself and you consistently try to push yourself to do better and to reach the next level. That's, to me, what I'm trying to do. And I feel like that to me is like you're more in tune with your higher self, and you're trying to reach your higher self by any means necessary. And even if it's got to be sometimes when you're by yourself or you are having miserable days, you know that I think what it's saying is like, if you're having those days, it's you're more in tune with yourself than you think you are, and you're doing better than you think you are, because you could easily be in a space where, all right, say for example, you live in, I live in Massachusetts, and the salaries here, or like the cost of living here, is very expensive, as it is pretty much, I feel like nowadays anywhere, but it's more expensive than it would be like down south. But if you're making like $50,000 a year, that's a struggle. Even 65 is a struggle, but $50,000 a year, right? It could be considered for a lot of people who live here a struggle, and you would have to like be working 2 jobs or living with other people or something. It's hard to maintain and live a comfortable life on that salary here. But there are people who have that salary who are comfortable with that, and they don't want to do more, whether that be, get another job or go back to school to earn, another degree, or a degree to increase their chances of increasing their salary or getting a better job or something like that. My point is like they would be complacent with that. And so that is an example of just like, in that situation, you could have 2 different people. Like it says, you can either be self-aware and feel like there's another way, or I have to do more, I have to get out of this, versus like, oh, this is life, like those 2 phrases that I just said, like this is life is one way, or there's gotta be more than this. Those are 2 different mindsets. Those are 2 different energies. And I feel personally, the person who is saying there's got to be more than this, they're doing better than they think they are, because they're recognizing that like this is not enough for them. And again, there's no shade or no issue with someone who might feel like that life is enough for them. That just might be the level of abundance that they can have for themselves, versus like someone else who's pushing to do more. So I think it's just, in conclusion, I think what that's saying is dope, because it's saying it's like when you question yourself and you have those doubts and stuff like that, it's not necessarily a bad thing. That means that you're actually doing well, because you're trying to do better for yourself. Number 3, and this is real. You have a job. For however many hours, at whatever rate, you are earning money that helps you eat something, sleep on something, wear something every day. It's not failure if it doesn't look the way you thought it would. You're valuing your independence and taking responsibility for yourself. Like I said before, these are just simple things like being able to pay your bills and having a job in this economy. And in these days, with so many people getting laid off and jobs just not working out and stuff like that, then it's definitely a privilege and a blessing to have a job. So even if you're in a space where you're not making where you thought you would, or you want more for yourself, it's still a sign that you're doing better than you think you are. I have people, like friends and family and just people that I know who are in that space who they don't have that. And it's a hard thing to experience personally, but it's also a hard thing to watch and see someone go through. And I've been in that space before, so anyone who might be going through that, just know that you're gonna get where you need to be, and you just gotta keep going, because it's all a part of the process. I promise you. And I know it might be easy for other people, for me or other people to say, but God always has a plan for you. So just keep going and trust it, and rely on your resources if you have any. Reach out to people, family, friends. Even if you ask me, like, if there's something that you think that I might have a connection to, definitely like hit me up. But just don't stay in that space. Just keep going. Number 4, you have time to do something you enjoy, even if what you enjoy is sitting on the couch and ordering dinner and watching Netflix. That's an important one, because sometimes, like, I think a lot of times something that I've been taught is, like, because I don't have like kids and marriage and all that stuff yet, I have a lot of alone time, and I have to be grateful for that, because when you want to get to the next level, which is having kids and being in a relationship, potentially marriage and stuff like that, though that alone time and time to enjoy the things that you enjoy doing could become limited. So I think that just being able to appreciate that you have that space now and you can do those things is important. Number 5, you are not worried about where your next meal is coming from. There's food in the fridge or pantry, and you have enough to actually pick and choose what you want to eat. Another one, this world is all about, money, and like everything costs. So it's definitely something to remind you that you're doing better than you think you are, that you have the choice. Even if you get to choose between cereal and oodles and noodles, you got a choice. There are people who don't have any of that, and they potentially have to like beg for money to eat, beg for food, or just they don't eat. So it's definitely, even if it's not the essential or the ideal meal that you want to eat, at least you have the chance to do so. Number 6, you can eat because you enjoy it. It's not a matter of sheer survival. You can eat because you enjoy it. It's not a matter of sheer survival. That's an interesting one. I feel like you can take that in different ways. How I'm taking it as, again, a little bit of, I guess, tied into number 5, like having the money or the ability to choose what you want to eat, or having a choice to eat. I guess it can say like you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Even that, like being able to choose if you want to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or you might just want to eat 1 or 2 meals or whatever. Having that choice is a privilege, because there are people who might only have 1 meal a day. They might only be able to afford 1 meal, so they got to pick which one. So yeah, I feel like what it's saying, like you can eat because you enjoy it. It's not a matter of sheer survival. Like you're not eating out of survival mode. There's a difference. Like there's a difference when you're eating to survive versus you're eating, I guess I want to say, at your leisure, because like I'm saying, like if you can only afford potentially 1 meal a day, or you're in a space where you can't buy lunch, you might have to bring in lunch or something like that, or that's kind of a survival too. It can be. Sometimes meal prepping and stuff like that is not always about just eating healthy. Sometimes it's about like, I can't afford to eat out and survive. I hope that's making sense when I said that. Number 7, you have 1 or 2 truly close friends. People worry about the quantity, but eventually tend to realize the number of people you can claim to be in your tribe, has no bearing on how much you feel intimacy, acceptance, community, or joy. At the end of the day, all we really want are a few close people who know us and love us no matter what. Whew, that's a word, because I think a friend can be, it could be someone that you're related to, or it can be someone you're not related to. And for me to be able to call someone a friend, I really have to feel that, like it says, it's more about not really quantity, it's the quality in feeling intimacy, acceptance, community, or joy, because you can't just call anyone your friend. I don't feel, because my friends, I love my friends. Like, I love my friends, and I don't love everybody in that sense. I do, but I don't, if that makes sense. My friends, if you have something going on, like, I'm that friend, I feel, that a lot of people know they can come to me, and family too, and talk about whatever. Like, I've been that person where people just, for something about my energy and me as a person, they feel they can talk to me about different things, especially when it's like tough stuff or trying to figure out their feelings or in life. And I've always kind of been that friend where people just, they come to me, and sometimes they ask an advice, and sometimes it's more so like they feel they trust me enough to talk about things and know that I'm not gonna judge, or I'm gonna have the best intentions and come from the heart, and what I have to say, or just be comforting, right, and provide a sense of intimacy and acceptance. I think that's definitely something that I try to do in my friendships. So yeah, I mean, definitely you're doing great if you have friends, because there are people who don't have any friends. And I know that's tough. Like, because even when I was in a space or even the times when I do feel like I'm alone, or I'm being separated and put into hermit mode or isolation, I still know that if things get bad, or if I feel like I need to talk to somebody, I have friends who I can talk to, and I pray for the people that don't have that at all, because that's tough. Because even if you say, like, you can have family members, like siblings or whatever, who can be like those. I have my siblings are my friends as well. But if you didn't have that, and you don't have friends, and you don't feel like you have family who can go to, then that's tough. Like, you can do things on your own, but you need other people, So having one or two truly close friends is definitely a blessing. Number 8, you can afford a subway ride, cup of coffee, or the gas in your car this morning. The smallest conveniences and oftentimes necessities are not variables for you. Ooh, this is one right here. Because being able to afford a subway ride, a cup of coffee, gas in your car, those are essentials, but that sometimes you don't even really think about it. But when you, believe me, I've been in a space where I couldn't afford any of these. Where I was waiting, like, to get, okay, I'll be transparent. Subway ride, it's like, I remember there was a point where I didn't have money, and I wasn't getting paid until like the end of the week. And so I'm like counting literally coins to make sure, I'm like trying to figure out how, if I had enough, I think, on my card to get to work, but it was going to be getting back. I didn't have money for an Uber back. And I was like, how am I going to get back home if I go to work? And then I was like, I didn't have any cash. I didn't really have any money in my account. So I was counting coins, and I was going by coins for the remainder of the week to get back and forth from work. And I could have probably, when you get to a point where you're like, all right, maybe I should just call out, because, or ask, even having the privilege to be like, can I work from home just to save the money, So being in that space is tough, because when you are in that space as an adult, you can get into a mindset where you feel real bad, because you're like, yo, how am I in this space, right? I have a job, so how am I still not able to afford these things? And that's when I think that was for me a few months ago, before, like, when I hit my birthday, when I was getting like close to my birthday, the month or and a half before, I had a lot of self-reflection and just like, and I'm still working on it, but definitely with budgeting and money, like my relationship with money, I'm trying to improve that, because I think that for a long time I've always been in scarcity mode, and I think that sometimes is not great for you, because you can kind of blow through your money, because you kind of stack up things that you got to pay for and stuff like that. And so I'm trying to stay focused here with this, what I'm trying to say. But, being able to afford the smallest things, like you want to get to a place where those things that's not a problem for you. So I think it's about sacrifice and about time and money management and doing want versus need. So either way, what it's saying is true. Like, being able to be grateful that you can't afford those things, because like there are times when people can't afford that. You can't afford a cup of coffee, or you can't afford to buy water at CVS or get gas in your car. Number 9, you're not the same person you were a year ago. This right here, that's what's up. I definitely feel like that. You're learning and evolving, and can identify the ways in which you've changed for better and worse. That's awesome, because like I said, it's more about self-awareness. And if you are not the same person that you were a year ago, especially if you change for the better, that's great. And that alone, all the signs that I've read so far, should tell you that you're doing better than you think you are, because you are. You've improved. A year is a long time, but it's not a long time. And if you've been able to make changes in your life to become better within a year, that is an amazing thing to accomplish. It really is. Number 10, you have the time and means to do things beyond the bare minimum. You've maybe been to a concert in the last few years. You buy books for yourself. You could take a day trip to a neighboring city if you wanted. You don't have to work all hours of the day to survive. This is true. And I feel like even as reading it, like that's one for me, a sign for me, because I've been to a few concerts these past few years. Definitely been able to buy myself like this book and some other books that I've had, and taking a day trip to for me it would be probably like Martha's Vineyard, like going to Martha's Vineyard and stuff. I don't have to work all hours of the day, or when I was working like 7 days a week, that was tough for me to be able to do things like that, because your life kind of revolves around work. Number 11, you have a selection of clothing at your disposal. You aren't worried about having a hat or gloves in a blizzard. You have cool clothes for the summer and something to wear to a wedding. You not only can shield and decorate your body, but you can do so appropriately for a variety of circumstances. Another one, especially like it said about the winter thing. I remember one winter I couldn't afford a winter coat, and I had like a coat, but it was for more like the fall, and so I just had to make it work. And being up here in Boston, like sometimes that's not really possible, because it's freezing and the snow, and it was a really nice coat, but it was not for the winter. It was more for the fall. Fall, like early winter, whatever. But just being able, like, that taught me a lesson too about that. I remember the next winter I made sure that I saved my money to be able to buy a coat, and like to make sure that I got a good quality coat that would last me for a few years. And so that was an interesting experience to me, because I was used to just, growing up, like my mom would get me a coat. I wouldn't have to worry about stuff like that. And so I think as an adult, you kind of just think about different things. And like even yesterday, I went to the mall and I got some sneakers. I haven't bought sneakers since, I don't even know. Honestly, I can't remember. I don't even know, to be honest with you. Like, I have probably the most sneakers the last time I bought sneakers, it was like Vans. And I got some Vans yesterday, but they were different from the ones I usually get. I usually just get the slip-on Vans, and I try to, they're like usually like no more than $50, I think, on like one of those websites that I usually get. But I always order them online, and I just use them for the summer. And then when it comes to like this time, the fall going into winter, I kind of just make it work. But I was like feeling like I wanted to get some actual different kind of sneakers, like sneakers, because slip-ons are a little bit different than the actual sneakers. So anyways, my point was, like, that was the first time I realized like I had been to the mall in a long time to buy myself some shoes, and I felt good being able to do so, but also like it was weird. It highlighted to me like, yo, you really are responsible for getting your like stuff like that, where it's like when you growing up, you might have just kind of maybe not taking it for granted, but you never thought about the process itself and how there are people who are not in that space, who can't do that, who can't afford to go to the mall and buy themselves sneakers or something like that. It's an essential thing. And like, even with saying like being able to have clothes for different seasons, like there are people who just have to make it work and rotate. So yeah. Number 12, you can sense what isn't right in your life. The first and most crucial step is simply being aware. Being able to communicate to yourself, something is not right, even though I am not yet sure what would feel better. That's a great one, because that means to me that you're in tune with yourself, your higher self. You're reflecting on your life. You're in tune with where you're going and where you want to be and where you are. And sometimes like life and growth is all about the evolution, and it's about you as a person evolving and you choosing what makes you happy and what you want and what you don't want in your life, whether that be material things or people. And the awareness alone, I feel it allows the universe, God, to be involved in the transition in your life. Like, I feel like once you pray to God and say to God, like, look, I'm not sure what's going, like how to get to where I want to be, but can you guide my steps? Or can you, like I've said before, like, can you remove this person? Or can you show me where I need to be? I think that when you really say it and you believe it and you feel it and you really manifest it, you can sense like this is just not it. This is not enough for me. Then you just open up. You have the awareness, and I feel like it just helps you so much better to be in communication with God, to communicate and say what's the next thing and where I need to be. And awareness is key. That's definitely key, because you're showing God that I'm paying attention to my surroundings, I'm paying attention to my actions, and I'm practicing what I preach. I'm listening to the word, and I'm listening and following your guidance, and I want to practice the life that you have for me. I'm just saying that I think I told you guys about that episode that Lauren London was on, and how she was saying, I think I put it up on Instagram. If not, I could put it there. But in the clip, she's saying, she was saying like, basically, I want to live how God wants me to live exactly. I want to live the life exactly how God wants me to live. And I did talk about this because I said like how at the end, when I die, I don't want to see the life that I chose versus the life that I was supposed to have, and that not match up at least 90%. And so for me, I think personally, when you're aware of where you are in your life and the things that you're trying to get to, and you're constantly tapping in with your higher self and with God, then that just makes it easier for you to live the life that God wants for you. Because in the end, that should be the goal. Like, you want to live your purpose. Like, that's what God has you here for. So yeah, being able to recognize when things are not right in your life, and taking the steps to be aware and what needs to be done next to get there. I gotta hurry up because it's gonna be timing out. If you could talk to your younger self, you would be able to say, we did it. We made it out. We survived that terrible thing. So often people carry their past traumas into their present lives. And if you want any proof that we carry who we were and who we are, all you need to do is see how you respond to your inner child hearing, "You're going to be okay," from the person they became. Whew. Dang. I'm gonna read that again. If you could talk to your younger self, you would be able to say, we did it. We made it out. We survived that terrible thing. So often people carry their past traumas into their present lives. And if you want any proof that we carry who we were and who we are, All you need to do is see how you respond to your inner child hearing you're going to be okay from the person they became. I think I've talked about this before, but that would be amazing to be able to physically see and talk to your younger self. And not even just to be like, oh, this is what you need to do and this is what you need to avoid, but more so, like it says, just being able to tell your younger self, like, we're gonna make it out and we're gonna be okay. I feel like that would be dope, because maybe that would change the direction of your life for the better, because your younger child would know, like, I don't know, they would just not want to, maybe they wouldn't be as, maybe not as traumatized, but just they wouldn't be so involved in the trauma as much as they can. Because if you know, like, if you think about it as a kid, if you saw your older self and you get a glimpse of what your life is, then you would have so much faith in the future and in yourself that you wouldn't even really be so involved in the things that are going on with you now, because you know for a fact it's going to get better. So that would be great. That would be great. You have a space of your own. It doesn't even have to be a home or apartment, but that's great if it is. All you need is a room, a corner, a desk where you can create or rest at your discretion, where you govern who gets to be part of your weird little world and into what capacity. It's one of the few controls we can actually exert. This is definitely true, because definitely been in a space where I didn't have my own space. And especially if you have your own home or your apartment, that is great. That is a great, that you're doing way better than you think you are, because there's a lot of people, grown people, like 40s, 50s, and like more, who have to still live in a space where they might have a roommate, or they have to share with family or something like that, like because of financial or whatever issues or things that they're going through. And so to be able to maintain on your own, even when it's hard sometimes and you might have to have some sacrifices, just being able to do that is a blessing. Having your own space, even having like a space where you're with roommates, like that's still a blessing, because there are some people who can't even afford that. Or just being able to have family members or parents or whoever, or friends or whoever, that will let you live with them. But even if you are paying your way, that's still something to be, you're still doing better than you think you are, because there's people who would love to be in that. There are people who have to live in a shelter because they don't have anyone who will give them that opportunity. So it's just something to think about. Having your space of your own is definitely a sign that you're doing better than you think you are. Even if it's just you're renting a room, like that's still a sign. Excuse me. You've lost relationships. More important than the fact that you've simply had them in the first place is that you or your former partner chose not to settle. You open yourself to the possibility of something else being out there. I love this because it's definitely something that is hard to do. But yeah, I think that definitely a lesson that I've learned throughout life is that when you think you lost something, you kind of usually it's for the better, and it's just making room for more blessings, more abundance, and more love, and more something that better than you can even imagine. So appreciate the memories and allow yourself to receive more. Be open to the possibility of something better, something else being out there. Don't come from a ego point of a lack mindset, thinking that this is the only person or thing that can be satisfying to you. Because if it's not working, it's not working. Something that I had a conversation with this morning with someone's like saying how like sometimes things run their course, and if you have the ability to acknowledge that, and that's great. That's great for you, especially for your higher self, because you're doing a service to yourself for sure. Number 16, you're interested in something, whether it's how to live a happier life, maintain better relationships, reading or movies or sex or society, or the axis on which the world spins. Something intrigues you to explore it. This is definitely a sign that you're doing better than you think you are, because I think that's like to me, it seems like a mental health thing, because definitely if you're in a space where you have no interest in anything and you're just kind of living this mundane life, and you can't find anything to make you happy or curious or like adventurous, or just like a spark in your life, that could be a scary place to be. So it's definitely, you're doing better than you think you are if you're interested in something, even if it's just something simple as a book, or skating, or working out, or maintaining, like it says, better relationships, or just trying to live a happier life. That means you're doing really great. Number 17, you know how to take care of yourself. You know how many hours of sleep you need to feel okay the next day, who to turn to when you're heartbroken, what you have fun doing, what to do when you don't feel well, etc. This is important because I feel like it's a little bit of a mental health thing as well, because to me, this is showing that you know yourself, right? Because you know how to take care of yourself. It's almost like you're parenting yourself, because you know what makes you feel better when you're sick. You know who to turn to, who to I don't know, it's just daily things, like it says, even like how many hours of sleep you need to be okay the next day. Like that means you're doing better than you think, because there are people out there who are not able to even recognize what they need in their lives to feel good and how to take care of themselves. Number 18, you're working toward a goal. Even if you're exhausted and it feels miles away, you have a dream for yourself, however vague and malleable. So that's definitely one, working towards a goal, no matter, how big or small you may think it is, or others may think. That's just definitely showing that you're doing better than you think you are, because like I said, it's kind of like similar to number 16, that you're interested in something. That just shows to me, when you're working towards a goal, that means you haven't given up, and you're still trying to find your purpose, or you're trying to achieve your purpose. You have something to live for. Yeah, you have something to live for, and something that makes you happy, or to accomplish, or to help you. It keeps you going. That's very important, and that's very much a big sign that you're doing better than you think you are, for sure. Number 19, but you're not uncompromisingly set on anything for your future. Some of the happiest and best adjusted people are the ones who can make any situation an ideal, who are too immersed in the moment to intricately plan and decidedly commit to any one specific outcome. So definitely being open-minded, not focusing only on one way to accomplish something for yourself and your future. Definitely something that I talked about numerous times, like just cracking the shell of myself, and you can do the same, of just not feeling like there's only one way to accomplish something, and when it doesn't go that way, allowing yourself and your world to crumble. You got to be able to be like, oh, all right, well, that doesn't work, turn left, turn right, go back to the drawing board. Just being open to, I think for me, it's not more so about it is about getting there, but not focusing so much on how you get there. It's just, that's a part of the journey. It's just enjoying the twists and turns, and how things go. As long as you get to where you need to be, that's the important part. So just not having your mind set on one way or one thing, and when it doesn't go that way, allowing yourself to crumble, because that messes up your future. All right, number 20, you've been through some crap. You can look at challenges you currently face and compare them to ones you thought you'd never get over. You can reassure yourself through your own experience. Life did not get easier. You got smarter. Facts. I'm going to close it out with that and say that this is definitely a sign that you are doing way better than you think you are. We've all been through things. Sometimes people don't get through it. Sometimes people allow themselves, or unfortunately they stay in it and they don't grow, and they live in misery, and they're content with living in a space and blaming other people rather than picking up the pieces and keeping it moving. So just remember that life didn't get easier. You got smarter. Everything happens for a reason. Everything is either a lesson or a blessing. And sometimes, and for me, I think it's both. It's always both, because, you just got to keep going until you reach your higher self. So, I think, those were great. I like those. And I think that my point with this episode is to just stay focused. I have had conversations this week with different people that just made me remember like how important it is to appreciate where you are, not even just from their circumstances, but just it's crazy. Like, it's sometimes I just think about how God is using me, because even for this, something as simple as like the podcast, and I've had people tell me that, certain episodes or things that I talk about really help them. And like, for me, I'll be like, me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know I could be a helpful person, but I don't know. I think it's just because it's more so a part of who I am versus like trying to do it, like forcing it, like I don't force it. Like, I'm not saying these things and sharing this stuff just for money or for likes or something. It's just something that I like to do, and it's something that it's always like even today, like God was nudging me like, you better do an episode. You said you was gonna stick to it. You're gonna do an episode, share something. And sometimes it takes me like a while to figure out what I want to share. But then when I feel like I get into it, and it feels good, to be able to do it. So, I guess what I was coming with that was like, the reason why I chose that is, I had posted something on Instagram, on my story, and I had someone reach out saying like, thank you for sharing this. And, it was on my personal, and that person was feeling like they were going through it. And I was just like, yo, all you gotta do is keep going. Like, you can't stop where you at, and it's not going to be easy, but you have to keep going. You have to keep going, because you have experiences. Like, one of those points said, like, you've gotten through things before. So why doubt that you can get through this? Nothing happens in your life just because. It's all part of the process, is all for a reason. So the best you can do is just enjoy it where you are right now. Stay focused, stay 10 toes down. It's not on you, it's in you. And remain humble, grateful, and open to new things, and open to the possibilities, because the possibilities are endless as long as you allow them to be. When you limit, you can limit yourself. Only you can limit the things that happen that can happen for you. Even if it's not happening when you think it should be, it's going to happen when it's supposed to be. I talk about divine timing quite often, and that's real. Everything is already written out for you. You just got to keep following. Stay focused. Keep talking to God. Keep talking to your higher self. Try to remain positive. See the good in anything. Don't hold on to things. Let it go. Pack light. Lately I've been doing that, and I've been feeling so much better as a person. Just forgive people, but also more importantly, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for not knowing better, for not doing better, and make the effort to do so now and in the future. That's really all you can do. You can't go backwards. We can't go forward. So all you can do is just dance where you at now, and just stay open and stay alert for the future. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this message. Hope it was helpful, kind of help you remember to remain humble and be grateful for where you are, and maybe even write down some things that you're grateful for, or just say thank you out loud for the things that you do have. And work towards the things that you want for yourself. Anything is possible. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. Hope you guys have a great week and the rest of the weekend. And as always, can you rate and review the podcast and follow on all platforms? And it's at Black Hippie Lounge, whether that be Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. I believe I'm on Facebook as well, even though I don't use Facebook. But and what I was gonna say. Oh, as always, I'm your host Chanel. Meditate, manifest, invest in you. Have a great week. And what is the outgoing message that I want to say? I'm gonna use a J. Cole lyric that came to my head when I was talking about this stuff. It's anything is possible. You gotta dream like you never seen obstacles, and that's facts. Like, you gotta dream and work and live like you never seen obstacles. You don't know anything about being stopped. You just gotta keep going. You gotta keep going. So push through whatever it is that you might be going through. It's all gonna work out in the end. Only the good things, I promise. So stay focused, and take care. Meditate, manifest, invest in you. Join me on my spiritual journey as I elevate myself and like-minded listeners to a higher level, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for listening. This is Black Hippie Lounge, and I am your host, Chanel.